Alright, this is going to be a lesson on composition of functions and function evaluation. So I've started off with two functions here, f of x equals 2x plus 5 and g of x equals x minus 2 squared. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a problem like f of negative 7 and g of 5. These are similar problems, and what you want to notice here is that the f of x, the x, has become a negative 7. So on this side, what this is asking is, it's saying where is our function when x has a value of negative 7? So what we want to do is we want to plug negative 7 in for x to find out what is that value when x is negative 7. So we plug negative 7 in for x. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14, plus 5 is negative 9. So f of negative 7, when x is negative 7, our function is at negative 9. So let's do the same thing over here with g of 5. So we're saying when x is 5, where is our function? So we plug 5 in. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. So when x is 5, our function has a value of 9. Okay, that's one type of problem. Another type of problem would be if we said f of x equals 31. Okay, now we're saying our function is 31, and what we want to know is what's x. So that means we're going to take this 31 and we're going to set it equal to 2x plus 5. That way we can solve for x. Okay, so we start off by subtracting the 5 over, and we get 26 equals 2x. And then we divide both sides by 2, and we get that x equals 13. So when x is 13, our function is going to be at 31. And you could double check that by plugging 13 back in for x. Over here we can do the same thing with g. We're saying our function has a value of 25. So another way we can think about this is we're saying g of x is 25. Here's g of x on the left side of our equation. So we want 25 to be on the left side of our equation, and it's going to be equal to x minus 2 squared. So now we think about square rooting to get rid of the square, and we get two answers here, positive or negative 5, because we could square positive 5 to get 25, we could square negative 5 to get 25. So that leaves us with x minus 2 here, and then we would add 2 to both of those answers. So positive 5 plus 2 is 7. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. So we get two answers for this one. Now the last one here, this is a function composition. So we're taking f of g of x. We want to find f of g of x. And if you notice, that's very similar to this first one here where we did f of negative 7. And in that one we took negative 7 and we plugged it in for x. So now we're taking g of x and we're plugging it in for x. So 2 times g of x. So g of x is x minus 2 squared. Okay, so 2 times x minus 2 squared. And then we still have the plus 5. And really, I would be okay if you left your answer like that. You could multiply this out if you wanted to, but I'd be okay if you left your answer like that. If we come over here to g of f of x, so here, just like up here when we had g of 5, we took 5 and we plugged it in for x. We're taking f of x, so we're taking 2x plus 5, and we're plugging it in for x. So 2x plus 5 goes in for x, and then we still have to subtract 2, and then we square it. And we should combine our like terms in this parentheses here, so we get 2x, 5 minus 2 is 3, so plus 3 squared. And you could leave your answer like that. If you wanted to multiply it out, you could, but you can leave your answer like that. So 3 different types of problems. The first one, you're just taking since it's g of x is changed to g of 5, 5 is taking the place of x, so you're plugging 5 in for x. The second one, we're saying, for example, f of x equals 31. So we plug 31 in for f of x, set it equal to the other side of the equation, and solve for x. And the last one, when we say f of g of x, that means we're taking g of x, we're taking the whole equation, x minus 2 squared, and we're plugging it in for x. Okay, so that's function evaluation and function composition.